Don't worry, 2006.
Yeah, we are live. Welcome in to another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. We are connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world. Just a couple days out from Euro 2020, which is finally going to start a year late and $1 short. But you know what? Honestly, I think the Azzurri can absolutely benefit from the extra year because I have more faith in this team now than I would have a summer ago. But God, we have so much to get to before we introduce my co-host, who is one of the happiest men on Calcio Twitter today. Let me introduce one of our special guests. We got another special guest who has had some technical difficulties, so we're going to pop in our buddy Dom DeFazio if he's ever able to get his technology together. But we have Jan, who's joining us. Jan, this is at least your second time with us, right?
Yes, exactly. Second time. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us. Having us. I mean, Dom's not here yet, but thanks for having me on, and can't wait to talk about Calcio again.
Absolutely. And listen, obviously there are interesting angles we can get to with Milan, who Jan supports, of course, with Inter, who I support. There's plenty going on, more potential outgoings than incomings at this time, but there's never a dull day with Inter. However, today is really all about Lazio, and we have been waiting. It's got to be well over a week now, at least a week, with all the Sarri conversations, the rumors, the reports, the escalation, and finally it was made official today. And I really love the way that the Lazio Twitter account shared the news. I don't know, honestly, I don't know how many other official Twitter accounts for football clubs would have had the balls to put out a cigarette emoji, but that was the way that they announced the cigarette man himself, Maurizio Sarri, who's now the manager of Lazio. And Jerry, I think that this is Jerry Mancini, of course, my co-host. I'm Alex Donno. I want to make sure I introduce everybody properly. You know, Jerry, I think that this is a very ambitious hire from Lazio. I think it really shows intent from Lotito, who you've said it best, probably was motivated by the way things went with Inzaghi, where they had, a verbal agreement to continue together, and then he signs with Inter the next day. So I'm sure that Lotito was motivated to make a statement. And I thought he made a very ambitious statement with Sarri. So how are you feeling, man? Are you happy, Jerry? I mean, I saw you with a cigarette in your mouth on Twitter today. And I know you don't actually smoke, but are you happy today, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. I was actually going to have a cigarette in my mouth just for jokes for the show, but I didn't do it in respect for somebody. So I stayed neutral on that one, but I did do the picture. I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
Great, dude. That was hilarious.
I should do another one tomorrow, but I should do something else. Maybe I'll have a cigarette in my ear or something, like when all those guys.
A tracksuit. You got to put on a tracksuit.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. I can dress in a tracksuit for work. That I can do. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's sad that it had to get to a point where Inzaghi pissed off Lotito in order to have him like a vendetta and say, you know what? You want to piss me off? I'm going to spend all the money and I'm going to show you what you couldn't have at Lazio. It's not the right way to approach it, but if that's what it takes to get Lotito to spend money and to be more ambitious, I'll take it as a fan. When I said that when Inzaghi had left Lazio, it was either two ways this could have gone. Either he regresses or he gets pissed off because he wants to take it out on Inzaghi, like I just said, and now he's going to buy players. Now that you brought Sarri in, you brought a vision for 2 years. This is a short stopgap. After 2 years, we'll see if he picks up the option, what the goal can be. But this signing Sarri means that you're going all in and you're willing to compete for a top 4 spot. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a Europa League team. Now let's see what happens in the summer transfer market. That's the biggest question. But tomorrow or Friday, Tade is supposed to meet with Sarri already, and they're going to discuss all their moves. So I think Lazio might be the most active team out of everyone, believe it or not, and they're not even in the Champions League. That's kind of where I'm looking at this right now, just on the what they need in order to adapt to his formation.
Want to introduce Dom joining us, and it's funny because these are a lot of faces and names. We have a group chat together with a handful of other great dudes. We talk calcio a lot. And Dom, this is your first time on the Calcio Connection podcast. Welcome, sir. I hope you got your 1997 dial-up sorted out. How are you?
Yeah. Believe it or not, I got it working on my my Amazon Fire Pad, my little Fire tablet. Believe it or not, how's the audio? Is it good?
Good.
Much better.
Good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. Actually, I'm a big fan, as you guys know. I listen to all the episodes, and it's great to be on. I know I said this in the group chat, but obviously the dynamic you guys have going together is great because you have Jerry, who's like the fiery, wears his emotions on his sleeve. You never know what he's gonna say. It's either take no prisoners, non-apologetic. And then you have exactly busting out the fingers. And then you have Alex, who like you could tell that you're a pro's pro because you know when and how to reel Jerry in and guide him. I feel like, and I've said this in the group chat. Jerry's like a majestic Mustang, like a wild Mustang or a Bronco, running in the fields. And you have to be the tamer, right? You have to reel him in. You're the jockey. You gotta steer him in the proper directions. So it's a great dynamic. It's a great dynamic you guys have, and I'm happy to be on.
Reeling in Jerry, it should be an Olympic sport. It's not always easy. Wild horses cannot be tamed, right? But
yeah, that's it.
I appreciate the kind words. Yeah. No, and Dom, since you're in, I certainly want your take on Sarri at Lazio because, of course, you're a Juventino, so you got very small dose of Sarri ball for 1 year, and not that Juve really ever took to Sarri ball, but that you did win a Scudetto under the smoking one. So
yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on this appointment, and how do you think he's going to fit in at Lazio?
Okay. So hindsight's 2020. So if you asked me last year, I would have said that Sarri was underwhelming and he didn't know how to manage the big stars, and he crumbled under pressure and yada yada yada. But then you fast forward a year later, and now we have Pirlo. And granted, I have to say that like this year, like the rest of Serie A, the roster, I think like all the teams drastically improved the rosters. When Juve, the team is much better than it was under Sarri, but compared to the rest of the league, I found that the rest of the league improved their teams a lot better. Like Inter, bar none. I thought Inter had the best team on paper last year, and then they brought in Hakimi, and they got Lukaku and Martinez running together. Barella started stepping up. So all this to say, I think that Sarri had the better roster last year, and he still managed to pull off a Scudetto. I think that the reason why he didn't work out at Juve is he's not the type of coach that is a stilo Juve. So they like the managers that wear suits, and they like the managers that are very stoic, or the managers that have that pristine professionalism. Like if you see Allegri, he would lose, and he would never try to blame the refs, and he would never criticize the other teams. A lot like Inzaghi, and I've told this to Nando many times, and I've told this to Jerry. Like I love Inzaghi, and I thought he would have been a perfect fit for Juve because he fits that criteria. I remember what was it? When was the year, Jerry, where Dybala was it Dybala? Someone got a penalty kick. I forget what the year was. I think it was 3-4 years ago. I think it wasn't penalty kick, but Dybala got pulled down and he still ended up scoring. And Inzaghi said it and
against Inter, I think.
Terrible. Sorry?
That was against Inter, I think, when he got pulled down and still scored.
It's because Dybala's always falling, so you get confused.
Okay, so that's it. I think it was Dybala got penalized. Yeah, exactly. I think Dybala got penalized.
I remember a game when Lazio lost 2-1, and there was a penalty in the 89th minute or something, and Ronaldo scored from the spot. I think that was 2018-19. It was the second game, and they got a penalty.
Exactly. And if you go back to the press conference with Inzaghi, he says it straight up. He's like, "Oh no, the team's better. The team played better," and they didn't. And honestly, they didn't. Lazio played great, and yes, it was a foul, but how it is when you get fouls at the very end of the game, it's always kind of sketchy, And he said it. He didn't pull the whole blame the refs, Juve, Juventus, that kind of bullshit. So Sarri doesn't fit that agenda. He'll speak out of term, he'll say things that he shouldn't say. And I think that's one of the reasons why he never was a fit at Juve. And I think that if Sarri was a little bit more PC and he told the line in the Juve way, I think they would have given him another shot. I don't think they would have taken such a risk on bringing in Pirlo like that. So I think Sarri will do great at Lazio. And I think that, it's easy to say that he can manage big stars. But then again, I don't see Ciro or Savic or Louis are the type of. I don't think they're the type of players that will have an ego. If you know what I mean. Maybe Jerry, what do you think? I think he'll do great, and I think that Juve were premature, and I think that if you look at the roster was terrible. Look at the roster. We didn't have a 9. We didn't have the Chiesas that we have now. We didn't have Alvaro that we had now. Like the team was terrible. It was terrible. Higuain and Matuidi. Like it's so I think
now I've got those guys in Miami.
That's right, Matuidi.
Both of these fucking guys too. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. Higuain can't score from open play, even Major League Soccer, and fucking Matuidi just runs around like a chicken with his head cut off for 90 minutes. Oh God. Of course, yeah.
So then again, so now what did Sarri do? The guy overachieved. He did. He overachieved. We had no business winning that Scudetto. You could say that Lazio pissed it. But at the end of the day, I think it was purely because he doesn't fit the style of Juve. He's not stoic and he doesn't toe the line of the PC. I think that's one of the main reasons. Question, Jerry, is he going to be allowed smoking cigarettes on the sidelines?
I think he will. It's Lotito doesn't give a fuck what you wear, man.
No.
He's never. I've seen Inzaghi in games where he's like in tracksuits when it rains and stuff. Like he doesn't need to wear a suit a lot for Lazio. I never heard Lotito wanting his guys to be in a certain tier, and I think that that's something that was part of his contract for sure. That he wants to be going to games the way he feels that is best. I think he'll be allowed to smoke. You're gonna see that stuff. I honestly don't see if Lazio's promoting on their account cigarette.
That's a great point. Yeah,
as your freaking announcement, I can't see why they wouldn't want cigarettes at the game. As for what you were saying about Sarri, I think my favorite Sarri was when he won with Chelsea, not even with Juventus, because he had a very good team and had little time to adapt to a team as Chelsea. Came in around mid-July, brought 2 players, Kepa and Jorginho, and changed Conte into a brand new player and is a much better player because of him now. His best, Ruben Loftus-Cheek's best season was under Sarri. He made that team play fundamental. And I understand that Hazard was his best player, but look what he did to Hazard. Hazard was so good. And once he left, I'm sorry, what's he been now? Nothing.
Injured.
So, and I think the biggest key factor is that he had a working midfield. That's the biggest fundamental here. And what does he have at Lazio? A working midfield.
Yep.
He's got the core that he needs the most important to his game to build off something going forward. Yeah, okay, their back end can get fixed. You buy fullbacks, that's fine. That's gonna happen. But if he didn't have a good midfield at Lazio, I don't think he would have taken this job. That is 100%. Luis Alberto and Sergei Milinkovic-Savic was the selling piece for me. Not Immobile and not an aging Acerbi. That's not what he was looking at. He said, okay, I got 2 midfielders I'm going to build around. These are the guys I want to keep. Let's go now. Now you go buy players to add to the mold. I always said Lazio, on a good day, has the best starting 11, no injuries. After that, you can't swap with anybody because they're all shit on the bench. I'll be the first to admit it. Their whole bench shit is garbage. So they need to now give him the players to build off of what he has now. But we'll see what happens.
I want to pull up a comment from our friend Anthony Privitera. I think this is I completely agree with this. As I basically started the episode saying this, I think this is a fantastic appointment for Lazio in a time where they could get really fragile and lose it. Sarri should be able to inject that stabilizing mentality to weather the storm. Yeah, this is one of those things. I mean, Jerry, when this coaching search began, I'm sure you guys who support Lazio had some of the same fears that I had with Inter right after Conte stepped away, because immediately, they were initially linked to Inzaghi, but then we thought, oh, he's off the table. He's agreed to Lotito. So in the meantime, then were linked to Mihailovic, were linked to Fonseca, and dude, I was panicking, right? Because I mean, if they were to have appointed Mihailovic, banter era. I mean, no disrespect to the man, but it's just not a caliber coach, right? I mean, it would have been guaranteed. At least now I have some hope that it's not back to the banter era. It would have been guaranteed banter era. And Jerry, Lazio were linked to some of those same names, including Mihailovic. So how relieved were you for this Sarri appointment?
Well, before we go into that, I don't want to shift off the main topic. Hold on. I want Jan's opinion, what he thinks about, because we haven't heard from him yet. I want to hear what he thinks about Sarri becoming manager of Lazio.
I think it's a huge step up. Like, I know Inzaghi did a lot of good things at Lazio, but if I look at his finishes, his best finish was 4th place. So I think Sarri is the type of manager, especially with the midfield that Lazio has, to take them to that next level, to really compete for a top 3 spot. Is it going to happen this year? I don't think so, because Serie A is getting a lot tighter. With the Euro, transfers are going to be really hard to make right now for top players. We're going to be seeing a lot of secondary players that aren't playing that are going to be signed. But the guys that you want to make a difference, they're going to be playing in the Euro. They're going to take a vacation, and they're going to join your team late. They might not play the first 5-6 games of the year. So you might see a Lazio that really starts coming on in January. But I do think he knows how to navigate the Europa League very well. He's going to bring a different level to Lazio, that's for sure. And it's really nice to see, like, I mean, as a Milanista, I'm kind of worried. I still love Pioli, but you look at everybody around you. They've all done a carousel of coaches. Juve bringing in Allegri, Sarri coming there, Mourinho going to Roma. Roma is still shit, in my opinion. But they're going to be a lot harder to beat. They're not going to be that pushover that bent over for all the 6 top teams last year. So that's going to make it more interesting. And I think it's a great hire by Lotito. It's sad in a way that the guy is so full of himself that the only time he's going to go spend money to make his team better is when a guy spurns him to go sign a deal with a better team. After he gave him, 18 months without signing a contract. I'm sorry. That guy stayed around waiting for something after what he did. Like, you rarely supplied him with big name talent in the offseason. The guy still managed to get you a Champions League, Europa League, Coppa Italia finals, winning that stuff. I just find it's a bit sad from an ownership point of view that you're only going to make a big move and start spending big on coaching when a guy spurns you. I see that as a little bit of a bitch move. But
dude, another thing, guys, I won't forget is last season, the previous season, I mean, how Lazio were in such great form before the pandemic, where honestly, if not for the 2-3 month hiatus, they might have won that Scudetto. I mean, they were flying. They were flying. And then after the league restarted, not only did they lose their momentum, but the squad rotation became so much more important because you were playing twice a week, which wasn't the case before the stoppage. So Lazio, honestly, even if they didn't win that Scudetto, they would have been right there. Like they would have been breathing down Juve's neck till the very end.
Yeah. Also, that medical staff thing. They have an issue there with the COVID testing. A lot of guys were getting sick more than other teams. Things weren't being followed. Why? We don't know why. We can all speculate. But that's still something, like, you're still a big team in Italy. Like, that shouldn't be happening on the regular like that. Like, I'd expect the Benevento who just came up, that would be happening. They don't have the facilities, but you're fucking Lazio. Like, so anyway, but I think it's a great move, and it's gonna make the league a lot better to have all these guys.
We're a team without a fucking sponsor, for God's sake, man. I should tell you everything.
When is that getting sorted?
I don't know. I seen something Commander on the last fucking 5 games on the jersey. Who the hell knows?
You got to get freaking Camel or Marlboro or something. You got to get a cigarette sponsor.
Or Nicorette, the patch. You know
what would be great? You get Marlboro on the front and then Nicorette like as a side sponsor.
Well, in defense to Lotito, apparently he offered 3 contracts, and 3 times Inzaghi kind of pushed him aside, and he didn't.
That's possible. Yeah.
That was apparently.
You know what he offered him?
Apparently $2.5 million.
Okay, so Sarri got a little bit more. Not even that much more. I thought Sarri would be able to get more.
Yeah, me too. Well, I'm surprised he's getting 3 net after all that.
He's still getting paid by Juve, so he probably didn't care as much.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, and it's COVID too, right? We keep forgetting that, like, how COVID impact. Like, the only people who don't get affected is PSG apparently, but like COVID has really hurt everybody. You know what I mean? They have. and it's tough. I'm sure Mourinho has a big Mourinho's a big fire in Latito's ass also for bringing in Sarri and wanting to spend money. You know, your crosstown rivalries are getting such a big name. I'm sure it's also has a big factor.
Spalletti in Naples too makes them move. I mean, they're fighting for a market down there. You know, like Spalletti's not a bad coach. I think Spalletti's undervalued for a lot of things.
It's exciting. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Dude,
Well,
and I'm
here's the
so,
thing.
Hold on, real quick, Jerry. I just want to make a quick point on Spalletti. I'm so curious to see what Spalletti is like after 2 years of hiatus, right? Because I honestly thought at the end of his run with Inter, which came off of right off of his recent run at Roma, I thought the guy was like burnt out to a point where he lost his goddamn mind. Like Spalletti was off the reservation. Now this guy has spent the last 2 years, you know, at a vineyard making wine. He's got a pet duck that he talks to like it's a person. So I don't know. Maybe like he may have found some kind of inner peace, right? And I'm a firm believer in charging the batteries when you can. And he's had now Spalletti, and not to say like I'm not even ripping what he did because I thought he did an admirable job helping stabilize Inter. So I'm not clowning Spalletti whatsoever. But the guy was very high strung right towards the end of that run, and now he's had 2 years away to become more zen. So I'm curious to see what Spalletti is like next year.
I agree. The guy had so much media attention to him, right? Like when he was at Rome, he had the fight with Totti because he benched Totti. So you keep benching the King of Rome. And let's be honest, it was rightfully so because he ended up retiring the year after he left. Like Totti shouldn't have been. That was a big fucking fight. Constantly in the media, how dare you? You had the Tifosis fighting with him. You know, you had the Kuvas fighting with him. And then he went to Inter and he had the exact same shit happening with Icardi, where he was constantly fighting with Icardi. Like he was never at a team where he didn't have to deal with some kind of bullshit drama. And the media would always be a fight where Spalletti loses the room or he doesn't lose the room. So I think he's an underrated coach. And I think he will do well in Napoli. And I think next year is going to be crazy fun because every single team has gone a top tier coach. So it's exciting. You know, I think it's a great time to be watching Italian soccer. I
think Napoli is a good squad for Spalletti because they have speed and they have wingers, right? Because like Spalletti ball, you know, like with Conte, it's all about wing backs. With Spalletti ball, it's all about wingers. And like when he was at Inter, he had a complete donkey on the right wing in Candreva. You know, they did bring in Politano his second year, who was significantly better. Although Politano's an even better player now in Napoli than he was at Inter. And, you know, on the left wing, he had inconsistent Perisic, so he's got much better wingers now. But yeah, Jerry, I was sorry to cut you off before. And something else I want your take on. Make whatever point you were going to make, but also, you know, as we've mentioned, with Mourinho at Roma and now Sarri at Lazio, the Rome derbies are going to be lit. Right? I mean, you look at the sidelines, you listen to the news conferences before and after. You know, I always watch the Rome derbies, but they're going to be so much more entertaining now.
No, for sure. And I'm more intrigued to see the Lazio versus Inter more than the actual Rome derby, believe it or not. Because I want to see how the response of what Inzaghi gets. I want to see how the hostility, what kind of if there's going to be a rivalry now because of how he left and the whole ending to his relationship after 22 years. I know that the Rome derby is always going to be the Rome derby, but Inzaghi now adds a little spice to Inter versus Lazio and may have shifted the derby a little bit away. But as for me, I think Mourinho's washed up. I think Sarri still has much more to offer to teams, whereas Mourinho still plays in the 1960s, where he thinks that football hasn't changed yet, and you keep playing the same way, and it hasn't worked. I don't remember the last time the guy made a team better. Probably Inter you have to go back to. I don't know.
Real Madrid when he went there too. He had decent moves there. Yeah.
He was good there.
Well, like, what has he done since, though? Like, he's killed teams, man. And what did he do with Tottenham? Play boring football. When he had freaking Harry, he had Kane freaking playing deep and they're not scoring goals and playing still defensive when he had good scorers to score goals. He wasn't ever attack-minded. I don't know. I don't like him. Anything that touches Roma rots. Let's just be realistic here, guys. Fonseca is going to Tottenham. Two coaches basically swap for bigger shit. That's it.
But by the way, who do you think got the better of that swap? Because
They're both
kind of
shit.
both feel like losers to me, right? I mean, maybe at least Fonseca is probably still on the way up, right? Whereas Mourinho is clearly on the way down. So I guess Tottenham probably got the better of it.
You could argue
his wages are lower.
You could argue that Mourinho will bring in names just because of his reputation, right? I think Mourinho has a little more of a pull, right?
Sure.
Yeah, no,
but Roma has no money, or they have very little. Yeah. And
they would have sent a fucking Xhaka guy who fucking lost his armband. Like, what the fuck's wrong with this team, man? I don't even know if they want to
sign him. I thought he desperately wants to go to Roma. So I don't know how interested they are, but apparently he's interested in them.
How long before Dzeko and Mourinho have a public spat?
Oh, I'll give it like 3 days.
Match day 4. There's going to be a bench. It's going to be the end of
preseason.
There's also Jerry was talking about how interesting Lazio Inter is going to be. I think Roma Inter is also going to be interesting. I mean, the fans in Inter love Mourinho. Never thought he was going to join another club, and he had that cryptic message a few days before signing, like, "Well, if someone is interested, I'll come back to Italy." And he's back, so it's still going to be interesting. If there's fans in the stadium, it's also going to create an interesting atmosphere. I don't think it'll be much animosity, but it'll still be interesting to see how he reacts to them and. If he's smug towards them or if he's nice towards them, like that's what I love about Mourinho. Like I agree with Jerry. He's passé that, he's spoiled milk, but the man is a great interview. He's great, like, to listen to, and he's accomplished a lot back in the day, and he's still an interesting character. Like he's gonna bring ice to the league,
No, you're 100% right about that, and it's going to be all love. And you implied that there's not going to be animosity. I mean, I expect him, if the stadiums are full, and I hope that they'll be full at least at some point next season. His first trip back to the Meazza to face Inter, it's going to be pandemonium. Like I think they're going to be really, really good to him there, and they're going to give him a hero's welcome because the treble is something that the fans will absolutely never forget. And another thing, guys, when Jerry, was talking about Mourinho being washed, finished, insert whatever adjective you want to there. It is worth bringing up about Jose that the guy didn't take any time off, right? I mean, a few minutes ago, I'm talking about, I'm curious to see Spalletti after recharging the batteries for a couple of years, Sarri recharge his batteries for a season, whereas Mourinho has just been hopping job to job to job to job, and he hasn't given himself any time to recharge the batteries, refresh the ideas, because I know how it is for these managers. I mean, it is nonstop 24/7. And if you have antiquated tactics, at what point do you ever give yourself time to tweak it and reinvent it when you're constantly coaching? Like I really think for Mourinho to take a year off would be very useful for him if he wants to kind of bring his tactics to the 21st century, and he's not giving himself the opportunity to do that.
That's true. Maybe that's his competitive spirit. He doesn't want to go out on a low note, Maybe he's just trying to stay above water.
Yeah, I guess so. But before
fuck Mourinho, man. I'm fucking tired of Roma. Fuck Mourinho. I was just texting. Sorry, I'm listening to you guys. I can't stand fucking Mourinho. Fuck him. Fuck his interviews. How fucking Lazio smack this team around. I can't stand him. You know what, man?
You're worried, huh? Jerry's worried. Jerry's worried that Mourinho's going to make Lazio look bad. That's what you look like, man.
I hate it. I'm going to be honest. I bantered Juventus a lot this year. 3 reasons. Hardcore. One, I hate Paratici. He's out the door. I'm happy to see him gone.
Now. Yeah.
He's fucking cancer. I hated him. He made me hate Juventus more. I hate Ronaldo. Guy's a fucking piece of shit. He can go rot in hell. Go to Portugal and fucking stay there, you fucking chooch.
He might win a Euro.
Fuck yeah. Okay, with that free kick today, where's he going to go?
Oh, my God.
That's one of the things, like, it's ridiculous how he takes free kicks. You know what I mean? It really is. It's ridiculous. And I want to see if Allegri is going to allow it to. And if Allegri allows it, then it means it's on his contract, right? If you have 3 managers that allow you to keep taking free kicks, it has to be on your contract. It's the only thing that makes sense. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. And the last point I'll say why I'll respect Juventus this year, I love Agnelli. I will not disrespect the guy who knows how to fucking win and brings trophies to a team. I don't slander people like that. I just think it's stupid. I'll slander Ronaldo because I hate his attitude. That's the reason why. Agnelli has a good demeanor. I like his approach to the game. He's not a bitch, man. He accepts when he loses and he accepts when he wins. Just like you were saying before. Allegri. I like him. He doesn't bitch, man. I respect the guy. I respect the guys who are good winners and just have a good presentation. I like that, man. That's just me.
That's what I mean by Juve style, right? Stilo Juve. That's exactly what it is. You don't. You always have to be above it. And I loved Allegri too. And again, ask me his last year when, we won the Scudetto. I believe we won the Coppa Italia in his last year. But scale was lackluster, and I said it was time to move on. But again, I think it's at the end of the day, you don't know what you have until it's gone. I know that's a cheesy, shitty line, but it's the absolute truth. And I hope that he can bring a little flexibility.
Juve basically paid him to take a vacation for 2 years, and he came back.
Exactly.
He was under contract when they let him go. Right?
Yeah. I was having a blast learning how to speak English, only to come back to Juve. You know what I mean? By watching basketball.
I'm sure his tactic. He's a smart manager. I liked him at Milan. I thought he was great at Milan. He was great at Cagliari before Milan.
For sure.
He's a great. I always wanted him to go to the Italian national team. I was hoping he would go there.
Yeah,
I think eventually he will. I think that's the steps.
Yeah.
So, but before we get into the Azzurri, I wanted to give Jan a chance to give his take on how this Donnarumma thing got resolved. I mean, what a fucking joke on his side of it. Okay, so he ends up at PSG. For a few days, I was convinced he was going to end up at Juventus. He ends up at PSG. At one point there were reports that he and his fat ass agent were crawling back to Milan, and they were willing to take less money. I didn't really believe that. I thought that ship had sailed.
No,
but Jan, what do you think about Donnarumma ending up at PSG?
Well, he wanted money, and he ended up being in the only team that can pay him that kind of money. So good for him. I'm happy for him. The guy was there since the age of 13. He made a start at 15. He made it I'm mad at the club for letting him go for free. That to me, you want to make fun of that, full on have it. I don't understand Milan fans that are trying to rationalize that was a good move to let him go for free. That's a terrible fucking move. That's generational talent. Should not have let him go for free. At the same time, I have to respect how the club, spun it around, and they signed the guy for less money. He was definitely not Donnarumma. I don't think Mike Maignan is anywhere close to the stratosphere of Donnarumma, but not many goalkeepers are right now. I don't think any goalkeeper at that age is that good. I don't think Neuer was that good. I don't think Buffon was that good. This kid is really, really fucking good. Milan also made a calculated risk. If they would have sold him last summer during COVID, for what? I think there was an offer from PSG, Areola, and 20 million. We would never have made Champions League with whoever we replaced them with. So, they took a lot of loans that they lost some of those players to make Champions League. You have to look at this as a loan. It's unfortunate he left, but hey, good for him. You have to be happy for any human being that's going to be making $12 million, probably sitting on the bench to Keylor Navas. But
that's crazy.
He started his career at Milan benching an ex-Real Madrid keeper, and he's going to be playing now benching another, because Navas is not going to play over Donnarumma. No fucking way. And now the world's going to see how this kid plays. I remember, I don't know if you guys remember 2-3 years ago, him playing with his feet was a big problem. In the matter of 6 months, he improved that drastically. Yeah. There were some games with Milan this year, he was up almost near the midway line, against Juve at one point, with the game we lost, he was still trying to make plays with his feet to help out his defenders. And I got to respect how Maldini handled it. They didn't shit talk him in the press. The fans will do that, believe me. And the last thing I'm going to say is, miraculously, when the Champions League groups are drawn, Milan will be drawn with PSG because
for sure,
UEFA loves to put these together, and it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with the fans yelling at him and everything. But at the end of the day, I think Milan over time is, if they invest the money properly, it'll be better for the club, because no club wins a Champions League because of their goalie. I wasn't born in the 1950s when that Russian guy Yashin was supposedly really good, but Buffon was the greatest goalie I ever saw until Donnarumma. And as great as he was and all the things he won, he never won a Champions League. So I think everyone will be happy at the end of the day, but Milan should definitely be made fun of for letting him go for free. And I mean, that's my take on it. So good luck to him.
And by the way, Jan and Dom, speaking of UEFA, I've got to respect the way that Juventus, Real Madrid, and Barcelona have finessed UEFA. And like, dude, Jan, Inter and Milan should have stayed in that goddamn Super League. So the 9 teams that left Super League are, getting fined, slap on the wrist punishment by UEFA. And then the teams that didn't leave, Juve, Barcelona, and Real Madrid, whatever punishment they may or may not face gets deferred. I have a feeling they'll never face any punishment. So, Dom, I got to give Agnelli and your guys credit because you finessed UEFA by staying in that Super League. You get off better than the teams who left.
Yeah, for now. But then again, look at PSG now. Look at PSG. It's crazy. How much isn't Navas getting paid? 10 mil?
7,
I'm not
I think.
sure.
7
and that's
net.
probably net to stay on the bench. You know what I mean? So it just goes to show it's like infinite.
Yeah.
They have infinite amount of money.
Yeah, they protected the fans. That's what the PSG guy did, right? That's what everyone wants to believe, that the Super League was the evil thing. The Super League already exists. It's PSG and Man City. They're ruining soccer. And they even signed Winjalan, however you pronounce that guy's name, from Liverpool for 10 million net.
It's crazy.
This is COVID. Where the hell's this money coming from? Like,
Oil money, bro.
Great, that's it. People kept driving. That's what it is.
Yeah. I want to bring in, by the way, Joe Fischetti is joining us now from Forza Napoli Pod. And I think that, dude, this is a perspective I wanted to have with us. But before we talk a little Azzurri, and I know Joe can do that as well, I've got to get his take on Maurizio Sarri because, we talked a little bit about Dom, his experiences watching Sarri at Juve, but Joe got full-on Sarri ball. I mean, you got the real thing at Napoli. That's where, Empoli and Napoli are where he really shines. So I got to get your perspective, Joe. First of all, thank you for joining us. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. My take on Sarri, I think this is the best possible signing for Lazio. Of all the guys that are available out there, you look at the names that have been linked specifically to Lazio, guys like Mazzari, for example. These are big downgrades from Inzaghi. Sarri is the only guy that keeps you up there and perhaps is an upgrade over Inzaghi, in my opinion. And I think that this is a statement from Lotito to say that he's not content falling back down the table. Jerry and I have been talking a lot about this offline. And I think while Lazio will need to make some changes to that squad to fit a new system, obviously they're built to play a 3-5-2. They have an abundance of center backs and not enough fullbacks to play in a 4-3-3 or a 4-3-1-2. I think Jerry and I might disagree on which one Sarri goes with, but I definitely think this is the right appointment, and it's an exciting one for Serie A fans in general.
Something, Joe, how long, and because you talked about, the change in personnel and going from personnel built for 3 at the back versus now 4-3-3 potentially, how long of an adjustment period do you expect it to take before Lazio can really start playing Sarri ball?
It'll take time, but I don't think it's that much of an adjustment, especially if Lazio can bring in some of these ex-Napoli players that they're linked to. Hisai, Maksimovic, they're already used to playing for Sarri. And when Jerry and I were speaking about how you would make that adjustment, the biggest transition is at that back line, switching from a 3-man back line to a 4-man back line. What I would envisage is if Hisai comes in, he plays as the right back because that's his natural position, even though he played a lot at left back at Napoli. That was more forced because Di Lorenzo is going to start at right back every time. So they need to bring in someone to play at left back unless you drop Marusic to play there. Even then, you still need 1 or 2 more left backs as backup players. And then you have to get rid of some of these expiring center backs. Stefan Radu, I think there were a couple of others, Musacchio, and I think there was one more center back that expires the end of this month. But the rest, the front 6, it's not really that much of a change, in my opinion. If you're going with a 4-3-3, what I would do is I would push Lazzari and Marusic further up the pitch to play them as pure wingers. I think Lazio easily can be a winger. He kind of already plays that role. He's not as much of a defensive player, even though he plays as a wing back. You play a middle three of maybe Lucas Leiva until you can get a more of a Jorginho type of regista, but you play him behind Milinkovic-Savic and Luis Alberto. That's a very, very strong midfield to begin with. And then the one thing in the 4-3-3 that I'm a little concerned for Lazio about is playing Immobile as the striker, because we know that he's had his struggles with the Azzurri playing in the 4-3-3. So that is an argument for playing a 4-3-1-2 and still being able to keep Immobile with a strike partner like Correa or Caicedo. I personally would sell one of those players and use those funds to then finance bringing in some fullbacks. But I don't think it's that big of a transition. And I think Lazio have the quality of players to play Sarri's system, Sarri ball, to play quick one-touch passes, triangles, lots of movement off the ball.
So I think that's a good segue when you mention Immobile. And Jerry, I know your guy is going to be locked and loaded trying to change that international reputation, because we got a big tournament coming up, fellas. I mean, we got a game Friday against Turkey. I think this is a favorable group that the Azzurri should be able to win. Actually go first in the group. If not, if you don't qualify out of the group stage, massive failure, in my opinion. But, Jerry, we've seen Ciro picking up the goal scoring in the Azzurri shirt a little bit lately. Do you think he's finally poised to break out and change that reputation? Because fair or unfair, he takes a lot of flack for the fans because he scores goals for fun for Lazio and hasn't been doing it with the national team.
So I was reading an article today, actually. I was writing up on if he can actually finally deliver for Italy. And I think this is the summer he does it, personally. And not because I'm a Lazio fan or an Immobile fan. Firstly, he has to play up front with Domenico Berardi. That's the guy he has to play with, along with Insigne is the given. Why? Because the last 2 games they played together, he has scored in both games. And I think anything you have to look at is you got a guy who hasn't been able to score goals for Italy. You got to take what is working best for him. And what's working best for him is those 3 players playing together. I know everyone's going to say Chiesa. Chiesa works hard. Chiesa will go down the wing. He'll give you those crosses and that effort. I don't care what he gives you. At the end of the day, I've seen what Berardi can do with Immobile, and it's working. So don't break what's not working. What is working? I'm sorry. Like that's just the way you go with it. I think the way he plays, his ability to cut inside, draw players towards him, his speed. I like the way he's able to pass proper crosses. I think he's much better at passing compared to Chiesa. That's just me. Personally, he plays with his head up. Chiesa plays with his head down like a hockey player a lot of the time. That's just the way I see him. Also, Immobile finished the season very strong. He scored 4 goals in his last 6 matches. Belotti scored 1 goal in his last 6 matches. People are going to say, well, it doesn't really matter. It's Serie A, you're going into the Euros. I think it does matter because it absolutely makes a big impact because they didn't finish off the strong. Belotti didn't finish off the season strong. His form was poor. It could be in his head. It's a mental thing. Whereas Immobile is going into the Euros, not only scoring in 4 of his last 6 games, 4 goals in the last 6 games, he's heading in his last, I believe, 2 out of his last 3 games, he's scored a goal with Italy as well. So the confidence and the form is there on Immobile's side. And lastly, I'll say, yes, he has been playing at 3-5-2, and the 4-3-3 has been a struggle for him. If there's one guy who could probably get the best out of Immobile, it will be Roberto Mancini, because that's not just Immobile. He's got everybody scoring. He's got everybody playing good in their positions. Every area of the pitch has been an upgrade under Mancini compared to what we had before with Ventura. Like, people are going to say, well, Ventura, he scored goals. Yeah, fine, but the team wasn't good. The team is much better around Mancini now. Like, everyone's playing fundamentally. And if everyone's able to score, if you can get guys Barella and you guys just Belotti's to the whoever else is scoring goals, that takes pressure off Immobile and he'll score goals I think with more ease. So I think a lot of factors play into Immobile's side, but again, he has to get over that mindset. I think that's the biggest barrier.
Guys, before we wrap up this episode, I want to go around the table and obviously, if you have anything to add to what Jerry said about Immobile and the attack, feel free.
Yeah,
and I also want. Yeah, go ahead, Dom.
I personally don't think it matters if he has a breakout year, because Ciro Immobile, I think, should be the starting striker for what he does when he's not scoring. His hold up play, he draws defenders in, creates space. He's great at building the ball up from the mid. If you see all his counterattacks, a lot of it start from him and end with him. Those are all really important things. And I think the stereotype of Immobile not doing well in international, like I'm guilty of it too. You know, like I sometimes think about it too, but it doesn't really matter, because this is the first time since I remember watching the Azzurri where we have scoring threats from almost every single position. You have Insigne coming off the best year he's ever had. The guy's he's flying right now. You have Berardi playing the best he's ever had. Chiesa, the best he's ever had. We have scoring threats from the mid. You have Locatelli. You have Chiesa, even though they have him as a mid, but still, like, you have Jorginho too. He's great from the spot. He's great from the free kicks. I think that having a 9 who scores all your goals is extremely overrated. And if you look at just the history, 06, we obviously the World Cup, 10 different scorers. We had 10 different scorers. And the joint leaders on Italy were Luca Toni and Materazzi, a defender, with 2 fucking goals. 2 goals, right? I think we have strength in having such a diverse team. And again, like, if you could do a deep dive of like all the Euros, the past Euros of maybe the last 4 or 5 tournaments. And you look, last year was an outlier. You had Griezmann, he scored 6 goals, and he was the player of the tournament. They lost. Okay. Portugal ended up winning it. Then 2012, you had 6 players that were tied for the Golden Boot. Okay. 3 goals each, just 3 goals. Who won? Spain, the player of the tournament, another midfielder. It was, I believe, Xavi or Iniesta. I think it was Iniesta. Then you have 2018. The leader was Villa. Spain ended up winning. But again, player of the tournament, it was Xavi. And even then, Villa only had 4 goals. Then you can go even further back. Sorry, that was 2008. Then you have 2004. You have Greece. The leading goal scorer on Greece had 3 goals. He was 7th. He was tied for 7th place. Okay? Who was the player of the tournament? Another midfielder. I'm not even Zacharakis. I have it here on my notes. The midfielder for Greece. So I think that if Italy, they're obviously not the favorites, but you know, they're the underdogs, they could surprise everybody. I have a lot of faith that they're going to go deep. If they go deep, I don't think it's going to be because Ciro Immobile has to score 4, 5, or 6 goals. I think it's going to be a midfielder, or it's going to be a team dynamic, and it's going to be many players on the team scoring, like we did in 06, like we did in 68. If you want to go, now we're talking about Catenaccio. 68, we had 3 fucking players score 1 goal. Again, completely different style of game, but I think it's overrated to have that classic 9 who's going to score all your goals. And historically, for the last like fucking 4 or 5 tournaments, the team that won, the reason why they won is the player of the tournament was a midfielder. And I think that's where Italy has the biggest strength. And I think that is what's going to be the most important factor going forward.
Yeah, there's no doubt the midfield is the strength of this team. And so I think I got you on record for this, Dom, because what I wanted to go around the table on was what sort of a run you're expecting, right? I mean, I mentioned I'm optimistic that the Azzurri are going to win this group and go through, no question about it. You know, they're in the group with Turkey, who I think are going to finish second in the group. Don't sleep on Turkey. They've been in really good form lately. So I see Italy and Turkey going through. Wales probably coming in 3rd place. There are some 3rd place teams that are going to go through. I think Switzerland will be 4th place in the group. So I definitely see Italy going through the group. I'm predicting probably a quarterfinal is where I think maybe their ceiling is semifinal. I don't see them getting to the final. I'm going to say a quarterfinal run because, at the end of the day, it's going to be either France or Belgium or maybe England, who are actually favored by the odds makers to win this tournament. So it's not going to be the Azzurri. But go ahead, Jan. What do you want to say on that?
The English are favored because the English people are going to bet.
Yes, freaking in England, like everybody bets on that, and they're so biased. 3-year-olds are betting on games
every year. for hockey, Vegas puts the Leafs as a Stanley Cup favorite. Why? Because they know the idiots in Toronto, like me, are going to bet on that. So the English are like the Leafs. It's like everyone always thinks they're going to do well. And I'm sorry, they're still shit. They're not going to do much. I don't see them winning it. No. France, definitely. Spain. I can see the Germans being surprising, even though people are counting them out right now.
Yeah.
And definitely, I'm always going to go for Italy, but I don't have much hope. Like, honestly, I haven't been really. I know they've played great. They're really playing good under Mancini. They're a super good team, the way they're playing. But I still haven't seen them do it against a big team. I think last time they played a big team was Portugal, and they didn't do too well. But it's a small tournament. And to get to what Jerry was saying, how Berardi has to play with Immobile, I agree. I think they do. But Chiesa is another animal. If we have him coming off the bench as our sub, that's a great super sub. But I wouldn't be surprised. It's a short tournament. Changes have to be made, right? Yeah. If it doesn't work for the first game against Turkey, you might not see that same combination the second game. Let's say we tie the first game against Turkey. Could very well do. That's the second best team in the group. Then the pressure is going to be on Italy. Then we play against the Wales. Wales is the last game. Switzerland, another team that plays very well defensively. So we could start running into problems. I still think we're going to get out of the group. And I agree with Alex. I think quarterfinals is, if we make the semis, I'd be really, really surprised.
I would think that is a huge, I'm saying like semis to me are the ceiling, the absolute ceiling. Yeah. Probably quarterfinals. What do you think, Joe? What do you think about the run that they could make?
Yeah, I concur. I think whenever I do these sort of Euro predictor things online, I think the issue that Italy are going to have is, I agree, we're probably going to win the group with that group. And I also agree that Turkey is better than a lot of people think they are. Switzerland's a little bit tricky, but we should win the group. I think Mancini has them playing really well, and I recognize it's been against a lot of lesser opponents, but the rhythm that they're playing with, the confidence that they're playing with, the goals that they're scoring. We mentioned, Dom was talking about the goal scorers. We had 4 different goal scorers against a Czech team that I believe tied England and Portugal in friendly. So they're no slouch. And I think on the Immobile point, that I don't think we need to rely on our number 9s to score that many goals, because we're going to get a lot more production from our wingers. That'll get us through the group stage. The problem is there's a good chance that we end up running through a gauntlet at that point and facing teams like Belgium, France, and I think that's part of the reason why the books have Italy a bit further back, like 8-1 or whatever it is. I personally think besides France, there's a lot of teams that, in my opinion, are overrated. You guys mentioned England and how the betting influences those lines. Belgium, I'm a little on the fence about. I think the reason why they're so high up there is because they went pretty far, but they were kind of missing that clinical finisher. Turns out they had him all along. He just wasn't in form back then, in Lukaku, who's now in form. So I think that's given them a big boost. But that golden generation is a lot older than they were. They're at the end now of that golden generation. We don't know about Kevin De Bruyne's health, and he's obviously a key player for them. I think Portugal is probably underrated as well. I think they have a very, very good team. But other than that, I don't think England's that great. I don't think Belgium's as good as they are, and I don't think Spain and Germany, they're kind of on the decline as well. With Germany, Joachim Löw is on his way out. They're in a bit of a transition there, and Spain, they're always being compared to their sort of dynasty years, and I don't think they're quite as good as they used to be. So I agree. I think quarterfinals, hopefully further than that, is probably realistic.
Jerry, I'll let you get a word in on this, my friend. And I thought Dom said it very well, that we're not necessarily going to need to see Ciro scoring goals for fun in this tournament. Still, I know you'd like to see him score, 15, 20 goals during these Euros. But what do you think? How far do you think the Azzurri are going to go?
They're winning it. Straight up, they're winning it. I think this team.
Wow.
I'm going all out, man. I probably mushed him. I didn't give a shit, man. Okay. I thought I was a mush when I tried mushing Montreal. Backfired on me. So I mushed the Leafs, but somehow I couldn't mush the Montreal Canadiens versus the Winnipeg Jets. So I gave up. I don't know if I'm a mush. I'm not a mush. I think that this team has everything going for them. They got a lot of youth. They got some veterans. It's got a balance of everything within this lineup. The biggest takeaway for me is the manager. I think this is probably one of the best managers we've had since probably Conte.
Yeah,
If
Conte.
I have to be honest, and I think that's the biggest factor here. We need someone who understands when to make those changes, when to deploy the right lineups, and knock on wood, he's done it since what, I don't know, since he's taken over. So I'm gonna go with Italy probably. That's my, if it wasn't Italy, I'm not gonna go with France. I think France is gonna choke somehow, some way. That when you're given all that pressure and you're the favorites, I just think sometimes that team can either do what they're supposed to, or they just buckle underneath the pressure. I think France is gonna fall out maybe in the quarters, semifinals, and we'll see what happens. I haven't done enough research to see who can go all the way, to be honest. I know, like Joe was saying, Portugal's got a decent team. Spain can go kiss my ass. Old timers, they can fuck off. I fucking hate Spain, man. I hate Spain. I hate Spain. I hate Portugal. I hate Portugal because of Ronaldo. I hope they fucking choke in the first round. Like
you're a fucking poet, Jerry. You're a poet.
Man, I hate Portugal. They're so overrated, man. They make me nervous. They just, oh God, man. I just can't handle them.
Jerry, how many walls is Ronaldo going to hit on his free kicks? 8, 11?
I hope Ronaldo gets less goals than for fucking Immobile. If Immobile outscores Ronaldo, I will be using that as banter for the next fucking 4 years, okay? You understand that? Like I know that he's an all-time goal scorer and all that crap, but I need one bragging right over that piece of shit, okay? That's all I need is one little ammo. That's all. But
Jerry, during the Euros, there's no Inter, there's no Juve, there's no Lazio. We're all Italian. I fucking hope Ronaldo tears his fucking hamstrings up until his ears. You understand? I hope he gets every single one.
I'm not that mean, man. I'm not that bad. You know what, man? I know you guys are saying that the goals are going to come from everybody, but I think as you progress further, you're going to need your number 9 in the big games, like against Belgium. He's going to
have to steal you at least one game, I think.
Yeah, he has to. Yeah. I agree that we do have scoring all around, and we're going to get goals from everybody, but when we need that big goal, that's when we're going to really need Immobile. And we're going to say, why didn't Immobile score that goal maybe if it hits that? That's where we're going to need Mobile the most. Maybe not in the group stage, but when we're playing Belgium or France, and you want your best striker to be better than their best striker. That's what it comes down to. But Jerry, would you smear Nutella on a Ronaldo jersey? I would shit on a Ronaldo jersey. Okay, I would shit on a Ronaldo jersey.
So much anger.
I fucking hate him.
What?
I hate him.
It's like
you know what?
Your girlfriend.
Oh God, man!
Seriously,
I think it's because my wife's uncle's Portuguese, and I have to endure this.
Wow.
No, they're very nice people.
I bet that braised octopus and that grilled octopus is amazing when you have it on Christmas Eve.
It is actually, but when I gotta freaking hear about Ronaldo and how Ronaldo is the best thing ever.
For them, he was.
Oh man.
Since Eusebio, man. Or Figo.
Figo was way better. I thought Figo was way better. That guy was.
I mean, I don't know about way better. Figo was pretty fucking awesome.
He was fucking awesome,
guys,
man.
If we had an Italian player that achieved as much as Ronaldo did, we'd be all doing the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh, dude, I'll one up you guys.
To me, Buffon is fucking god. And Maldini is a god. Like Ciro Immobile is a god to you, right? It's normal.
Dude, you guys are all Canadian, so you don't hear the shit that I hear down here in the States. Every time Christian Pulisic breathes, my entire country goes crazy. Like, oh my God.
Overrated, man.
Worship for that dude. Like, listen.
He's no Landon Donovan, man. He's no Landon Donovan.
He's so overrated,
but Landon Donovan didn't get even as much hype as Pulisic. I don't know if it's just because soccer is more popular now in the States than it was a few years ago, but like, Landon Donovan was popular, but he did not get the hype that Pulisic gets. It's unbelievable. But listen, guys, we'll end the episode on that note. I want to give everybody an opportunity to shout out anything you guys have going on. Let me get to Joe first, because it's been way too long since we've talked to Joe, and he's really doing big things on the Forza Napoli pod. I've seen how much, Joe, you've been growing. I remember when you launched it, I think around a year ago, and you're growing exponentially, my friend. So where can people find you and all your work?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure as always, and definitely got to make it a more regular occurrence. And that's on me. I have been really busy with the podcast, doing a lot of fun things. You can find me on Twitter at Joe_Fischetti5, and you can find the podcast at Forza Napoli Pod.
So let me give a chance to our first timer. We had to mess around with his AOL dial-up for a few minutes at the start, but he ended up bringing it strong. This guy even had notes. Like I respect it so much. Dom, we're gonna have you back because you brought it strong. You want to let people know where they can find you, my friend?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Twitter. It's Big Defaz, BIGDEFAZ. I'm a big Juve fan. I like the Habs, and I like cooking because I'm a cook. So give me a follow.
I didn't even know that.
Thank you for having me, guys. I had a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And Jan, who joined us for the second time, Milanista, and we get into a lot of great conversations, banter. We have a lot of fun on Twitter and on the group chat. Where can people find you, Jan?
You can find me on Twitter at Yanimo1981. That's my name, Animal there. If not, any Milanistas that want to join the Milan Club of Montreal, you're more than welcome. We're back in Champions League. A lot more people are interested, so you can find us on Twitter at Milan Club Montreal. It's a great group, and the WhatsApp group is lit like ours is, but it's really something else. So thank you for having me. It's always great talking to you guys, and Forza Azzurri, right?
Absolutely. And let me give a shout out. I just put this comment on for those watching on YouTube from our buddy Sam Rubio, who's going to be on our next episode. We're going to be doing another one of these on Fridays, and Sam and a few other special guests will be joining. So I know Jerry's not going to repeat the two words that he put in that comment, but we're definitely going to talk some Roma with Sam later on in the week. And Jerry Mancini, you're the happiest guy on the planet. Your lungs are filled with smoke after the announcement from Sarri today. Where can people find you, and what have you been working on? You've been writing this week.
I've been writing for the Lazio. I got an interview with Joe that he did one on about Maurizio Sarri, and basically an interview about him. I have a piece on Strakosha and the future of him, and basically that's about it for that. And fuck Milan, Montreal. You guys can kiss my fucking ass, and fuck every Juventus goddamn club down here. There's like 9 Juventus Torontos, all fucking joke.
Just one Milan Club Montreal. We're all together. Just one.
It's fantastic. Coming from a Juve fan, like I've said it many times on how the Montreal Juve club is nowhere near the same level. That's why we have a couple Montrealers that joined Toronto for that reason. And honestly, I know a lot of the guys that are in the Milan Montreal club, and they're fantastic. It's a great organization. They're really, really. It's a really great time. So I have to say, don't listen to Jerry. Listen to Jan.
And well, I've been asked to go to the Lazio club. I can't go, man.
How many people are in the I'm serious.
20, 30?
How many people are in? That's a
20,
good amount.
30,
Like
20, 30. I can't fucking go to a Lazio club. Are you kidding me?
Why?
Because I wouldn't pay attention watching the game. Then I know how I am. I have ADD, man. I get distracted by 5 guys in a room, and I'm gonna get distracted with 30 guys in a room. It's terrible, man. There's like picnic tables. You watch it, and it's like this club that my father goes to. This whole time I didn't know. It's the Shujada Club. It's called, and it's a bunch of old men that go. Like it's starting to get a more younger crowd, but like it's just not for me, man. Like I like to watch at home and see what's going on in the game. I'm mad when I miss 5 minutes of a game. I start hitting my head against the wall. I'm like, what the hell happened? Once you start missing 5 minutes of a game, you don't. It's important because that flow of 5 minutes, things happen. It builds up to the game. Sound like North American sports, hockey, basketball. You miss 5 minutes, it really make a freaking difference because the game's still going. Yeah, like with football, but yeah, Forza Roma merda. How about that?
Is he coming on to talk about gardening tips? The Roma fan. Is that what he's coming on to talk about?
We're gonna have Mr. Miyagi on as well to teach us how to grow
Mr. Miyagi. Have you seen Roma's trophy case in the last decade?
There's more stuff in mine, I think.
Yeah. Oh man.
I got too much banter in me tonight, man.
Maybe
Maybe some Maurizio Sarri.
Friday.
Fuck. Friday.
Listen, I know Jerry. I'm sure Jerry and Sam are going to go back and forth on Friday. It's going to be fun. I had a great time with everybody. So huge thanks to Joe, to Jan, to Dom, always to Jerry. I'm Donno. You guys can follow me on Twitter, Alex Donno. Donno spelled Donno. And yeah, we'll have fun again on Friday night. We'll have another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. We'll talk to everybody then. Ciao.
I do like mushy Nutella.